Come on, please. Yes! 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 Yes!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 8 already of the 9 Dove Podcast, your one-stop shop for talking tungsten. I'm Lorenzo, he is Josh, and Josh, we have another big show, big Premier League night in Dublin, some crazy stuff happening at the Dev Tour, more stuff about Beau Greaves, a Kenyan playing at the Super Series, and my favourite tournament, the UK Open, is coming up this weekend. How are you, Josh?
Absolutely.
How have you been?
Very good, thank you. Yes, another week to wrap up so many things and to preview all much more.
Yes, absolutely, and we will jump into it with the first thoughts as always, and we will kick off with a discussion on night 3 of the 2025 Premier League darts in Dublin. And after the night we had on night 2 with the crowd whistlers, they were very well behaved there in Dublin as compared to the Glasgow crowd. In the 3 arena, always one of the great Premier League nights. It's a big arena. I think it fits something like 9,000 or something.
Good crowd.
A good crowd as always. And
well
we had some pretty competitive darts and a surprise couple of finalists. Well, probably the winner was less of a surprise than the actual finalist in the end. But overall, a very good night and a less controversial one,
yes,
which is positive.
Absolutely. Some great quality, some great scoring on display, some good quality darts. And that was good to see from a fan's point of view. Absolutely.
Yes, we had some good matches, some relatively close matches. None were massively one-sided. There were a few where one player was clearly better than the other, but just looking at this, 6-4 or 6-3 every match of the 7 from quarterfinal, semi-final to final. We saw some better performances from players we've seen in previous weeks. So overall, a good Premier League night. We'll just step away from the Premier League very briefly for our crazy moments, because we do have to mention what a ridiculous thing happened when this tweet does load up here from Charlie Manby on the development tour at Event 4. 130.7 average, if you don't mind. Legs of 13, 10, 11, and 12. How do you play that well and not hit a 9? Anyway, it was
13,
it's
10,
just about the best
11,
performance we've
so
ever seen.
he was one dart away from the 9 and then 11, 12. Oh, it's insane. It's incredible.
It's insane. He does play this week at the UK Open.
Yes.
Let me get his match in front of me. Is he straight in the first round, or is he a little bit later on? Manby is... Damn it.
Sure.
I should have done this earlier. No, yes, he's a Dev Tour player, so he will. Yes, he plays Aidan Kirk in the first round of the UK Open this weekend, and is in stunning form, evidently, with a 130.7 average. So well done to Charlie. That was the crazy moment of this week in darts, and he will be one to watch at Minehead this week. But back in the Premier League, it was Gerwyn Price's night in the green. When he always switches up his shirt for when he's playing at a specific venue, sometimes that works to his advantage. But Gezzy picking up a well-deserved trophy, it must be said, ever since being picked for the Premier League, which was highly questioned by so-called darts experts like Josh and Lorenzo. He has, I think it was much needed, the commentary around it, to sort of get that far back in him. And it's always good to see Gezzy playing well, because he is quite the entertaining player. And when you beat Luke Humphries and Luke Littler on your way to winning any tournament, it's fair to say you deserve that trophy at the end of the night.
He undoubtedly showed his caliber, that we know that he can play. Absolutely, yes. We did question him in the Premier League going into 2025, but he has shown us.
More than anything, off the back of he kept whinging about it. I don't think it was less to do, from at least for us, it was less to do with the quality of the darts and more to do with the quality of his personality stories.
Yes.
But overall, a very strong night. Defeating Nasser Aspinall, who was a bit of a surprise getting all the way to the end.
No, he was good. He was good. Good to see.
6-4 over Luke Littler, who, by the way, we should mention, I think it's 5 in a row. The last 5 in a row.
The last 5 encounters, has been
against
victory.
the Nuke. There's something about playing Littler. I think it's because he's an extraordinary player that you have to play so well to beat him, and that just brings out the best in Gezzy, and that's what we love to see.
He didn't even play bad. He had a 99.78 average, I believe. So that's good numbers for this standard.
It is, absolutely, no doubt about that. Littler continuing to play really well and not get victories, which has been a common theme since the World Championship victory early in January. Then he beat Luke Humphries 6-3, plenty of ton plus outs, including the maximum finish as well of 170.
Big fish, reel it in.
Yes, reeling it in. And then the 6-3 win over Aspinall in a fun game, 4 straight legs, 14-13, 14-13 darters, over 100 average to pick up a well-deserved victory.
Absolutely.
Now, let me just bring up the table in front of me. He moves to second place in the league, so Humphries is on 10 points. Gerwyn Price is on 7. Mike Van Gogh on 6. Littler is on 5. He's only won the He's only had one night where he's actually won at least one game, and it was night 2 when he went all the way to the end. Aspinall, Dobie, Cross, and Bunting out missing the finals night at the moment. One thing I keep forgetting to do, and I'll do this next week. I promise I will do this next week. As I've started on this laptop here in front of me, a Excel spreadsheet just tracking the individual matches that everyone's played against each other.
Okay.
So we can sort of see which matchups we're seeing more regularly. It's basically a critique of the current Premier League format, which isn't very good.
Okay.
But
I like it.
I'm not even sure if I've updated after night 3. I can't remember. So I'll bring that in next week.
I'm sure
and
you
somewhere in here in this Canva for the next 12 weeks, we'll be keeping a track of just how many Van Gogh and Littler matches, and we're up to 8 this week. All right.
Sure.
But look, no doubt that Gerwyn Price was very good this week in Dublin. Kraut was very good. It was good to see Nathan Aspinall. I think it was a very important night for him just to get a couple of wins under his belt. The last thing I did want to mention from the Premier League was how amusing it was. Gerwyn Price's last walk-on. He basically didn't wait for John McDonald, the Master of Ceremonies, to complete his introduction. He by the time he went, Gerwyn Price, he turned around and the Iceman was right there. It was the fastest walk-on you've ever seen. He'd had enough of all the walk-ons for the night. He just wanted to get up and play darts. Yes, he was faster than Ricky Evans on the walk-on specifically. Any other takeaways from the Premier League? We'll get to Stephen in a little bit later, but outside of that, any other takeaways?
No, I think overall you've nailed it pretty well. You're pretty spot on. So it was a good night, good quality, and good to see Gerwyn get on the board.
Yes, it was. Now we're talking. I don't know how much you want to talk about this, but I want to talk about plenty of this. It is the World Seniors Darts Championship. Despite Gerwyn Price's Premier League victory, I've decided that for the thumbnail this week, we're going to have Ross the Boss Mongomery up there with this photo because he has won the World Seniors Darts Championship, which took place at the Circus Tavern over the week as well. It looked like a brilliant atmosphere. Some of the walk-ons were brilliant. The Circus Tavern, which is a historic darts venue, that held the PDC Worlds from 1994 to 2007. I don't think it even seats 1,000 people, but everyone in there are darts nuts. That it's a low ceiling, particularly when there was the PDC World Championship was held there. I reckon there was probably more people in the venue than was actually supposed to be. I'm sure the fire crew were not happy every session when the Worlds was on, particularly in the 2000s. But that's where this World Seniors Darts Championship was held. And Ross Montgomery, a little bit of an outsider, not one many would have predicted going into this tournament would do much of anything.
We didn't, that's for sure.
We didn't really mention him at all, but winning against Trina Gulliver, John Part, Robert Thornton, Steve Beaton, who did have a good run, making it all the way to the semis, and Graham Usher, who was also a bit of a surprise. I had to come through that qualifier. And made his way all the way through to the final. It was a good quality darts. Obviously, it's not anywhere near PDC standard, but overall the quality is still pretty good.
Yeah, I'm going to say overall pretty good. 92.93 in the first game, 85, 91, and 86. So, it's
in that Q School standard that we talk about, 6 visits to the board, 83 to 93.
It isn't PDC Premier League, but it's good. It's good enough.
It's good enough. So the World Seniors for the 45 and overs who do not have a tour card.
Yes, not that golden ticket.
Yes, don't have the golden ticket. But like I said, good crowd in attendance. There was a bit of needle on stage in quite a few of the matches.
Yes.
Leonard Gates in particular was not happy with a few of the people. Richie Burnett was just a Richie Burnett as always. Yep. He went on a good run. I will say Derek Colson as well has played some great stuff recently. Yep. Got the better of the previous world champ John Henderson in a quarterfinal. He also beat Mervyn King. Antonio Shea, if you don't mind, went down to Graham Usher. The only slight critique I have is it did feel like for that last day it went a little bit longer. I know it's a bit difficult of a thing to sort of schedule around PDC darts. A lot of these guys will be trying to play, Dev Tour or maybe even pick up a card at the start of the year. But it would be... I feel like not having all those last matches crammed in on that final session might be a beneficial thing to do going forward.
Agreed.
But Ross Montgomery, very much a deserving winner when you look at the run he had. Some quality players playing some quality stuff there. Had to get through over that last set against John Part, so it could have been very out.
Correct.
Could have been out early in that last 16, but he got through. And Scotland have won all 4 of these World Seniors Darts Championships, so there's something in the water for the under 45 Scottish darts players, clearly. But not everyone had a great tournament. Some of the players who we actually thought might be who might do reasonably well at this tournament in the senior scene, didn't quite. And we'll get to the Aussie in a second, but here are some others. Now, Vincent van der Voort I've left there because he didn't even play, which is a very Vincent van der Voort thing to do. He wasn't able, I think it must have been some sort of illness, but he withdrew his match against Neil Duff, who got
went
through
straight to the next
and
round.
lost to Graham Usher, the eventual runner-up. Mervyn King as well, who's played actually relatively well on the challenge tour. He's high up on that order of merit. Bob Tier lost 3-1 to Mervyn King. Richie Howson, the number 3 seed, lost to Richie Bennett 3-1. But the real disappointing one for me was Martin Adams 3-0. Less than 73 average against Daryl Fitton. Legend of the sport, Martin Adams, 3 times Lakeside world champion, multiple time MODUS Super Series participant. But he used to be in Group A a lot, and now he sort of slid into Group B.
Yes, he has actually. That's a good point.
Now,
I've noticed that.
Yep. So I'm not sure where Martin Adams goes from here. He'll be much like Paul Lim. He'll keep playing darts.
Oh, for sure.
How much we see him at this sort of level is unknown at this point.
Correct.
So those were ones that flopped a little bit this weekend. Not Steve Beaton. He had a very good weekend, continuing a fine run of form since giving back his tour card, retiring from the PDC. Someone who was disappointing was Simon Whitlock. He didn't win his match. I did keep an eye on this one against the English Paul Hogan, no relation to the actor, though his nickname is Crocodile Dundee as a result. 3-1 win for Hogan, both averaging sort of in the 80s. Whitlock, again, much like later in the year in his PDC, just not hitting trebles on a regular enough basis to put pressure on his opponent. Hogan went on to lose for what it's worth, 3-0, whitewashed by Steve Beaton. So after a pretty good run at MODUS, it should be said.
Yes, that's a good point.
Getting all the way to the semi-final, just off his game, evidently, at the Circus Tavern this weekend.
Yeah, just looking at his scoring, it seemed like he didn't find his rhythm as much as we would have liked. He had some level scores, but then he made 100, 120, 140. But then, again, those trebleless visits hurt you so much, especially in set play as well, when it's, our first of 3, rather. So, disappointing, but we'll see how he goes in the next game/tour. Where do we think he'll be featuring next? That's my question.
Good question. It will likely be perhaps that MODUS Super Series International Pairs Week, where he'll almost certainly be with his son Mason Whitlock representing Australia. Which
hopefully it's back on YouTube.
Hopefully it's back on YouTube. As of now, it's just the Facebook live stream as of now, which also is workable.
And also via Pluto TV in UK.
In jurisdictions that have that.
Yes, correct.
But at least... presumably he might play a bit more on the challenge tour, but in terms of actually seeing him in front of cameras, I would suspect unless the seniors, I don't think the next seniors event is for a little while, so it's probably MODUS. But as we know, he is looking to come back to Australia for that Premier League and try and get back into
Premier League, which is in August, I believe,
August, September,
or
October. It's somewhere there. It's in the back end of the year, but he is going to try and make his way to the World Championship via that method. News on the World Championship front: we are expecting in the coming weeks some updates on qualification and particularly prize money. Will we see £1 million be given to the winner? They've been wanting that for a while. It may very well be happening. But Simon Whitlock a bit disappointing at the Tavern, losing to Paul Hogan, but he's shown a little bit of promise since losing his cards, and we'll be interested to see. We'll keep an eye on where he is going.
We sure will.
Someone else we keep an eye on, mainly out of my love for this man more than anything else, is Stephen Bunting. So we will jump back to the Premier League now. And what do we make of Stephen at the moment? Much better this week, everyone would agree, against Luke Humphreys. But I must say, watching that game, Humphreys, he's so good on doubles. If he's got 3 darts at hand and a double, particularly tops in double 16, he will not miss. Sometimes I think, all right, this leg's over. Is it over? No, it is over now. Yeah. But look, much better Stephen, but always about a dart behind, which is again not good when someone is that prolific on his doubles as Luke Humphreys was. He was flowing. Like I said, better night in Dublin. Where do we think of him? This is a Premier League format where, yes, if you win a night, you can find yourself right back in the middle of it, but you've got to win 3 matches to get there. And he hasn't won one yet of the 3 he's played. Admitted he's been a little bit nervous coming back to the Premier League for the first time in 10 years. Where do we expect Stephen to go from here? Can he still make finals night after the poor start he's had?
There is so many nights to go, but again, it's those early games that sort of sees where a player's at. You said hasn't come to the Premier League in 10 years. Like, that's a massive jump for him. Obviously, he's been playing some great stuff, but then to be in an elusive club of the top 8 in the PDC's eyes for 16 nights, whatever it is, 17
16
nights.
or 17, depending if you make finals.
Finals night, exactly. So it'll be interesting to watch for the next month or so, the next 3-4 nights. Will he get it back together? Will he have the same
I think
form?
a big part of this is the fact that we know, even though he has jumped up a full 6 grams a few years ago, he does throw the lightest darts of anyone. And these venues are massive, and the drafts and the way the wind behaves and this, I think, is part of the reason why he isn't quite used to playing in this particular arena. Like I said, he used to throw like 12-gram darts. He's now up to 18. But that is still, I know. 12 grams is not much more than stem and flight. No. But 18 grams is what he throws at the moment. It's still easily the lightest of the 8, still easily the lightest of the 1 to 8. Yes. So he's probably it's probably that sort of having to adjust to playing in these sort of arenas. And if he played a few more games on the regular in these sort of venues, that would be beneficial for him. The problem, of course, is he's not winning on the regular to allow him those sort of opportunities.
Correct.
I wouldn't put a red pen through him just yet.
No, absolutely not.
UK Open coming up this week is going to be a big test for him.
Yep.
And you can always, at the UK Open, you never know, you might be run into these big names, or you can sort of work your way against some of the lower ranked players.
Correct.
We know the UK Open's got a unique format, and we'll get to that in a moment. But he plays last up at Exeter this week against Luke Littler.
Yes.
So it doesn't get much difficult.
Another tough encounter for him.
For me, it's after this week. It's the next 3 weeks where he's got Aspinall, he's got Price, and he's got Dobie, which is based on before we went into the Premier League with the bottom 3.
Yep.
So those are the nights where he really needs to pick up some wins.
Yep.
And conversely, like that night, he plays Gurn Price. It's in the other part of the bracket, I know, but Humphreys and Littler run into each other in the quarterfinals. Humphreys and Van Gogh jump into meet each other in the quarterfinals in Cardiff when he plays Dobie. So there's a few perhaps easier routes there because the big names will take each other out as on the other side of the bracket or in the matchup that he will play the winner of if he wins. But at the moment, it's not looking good for my man. I think it's taken him a little bit longer than we might have expected to adjust himself to the Premier League setting. Basically, everyone had him in there. I don't think anybody was saying we can't have Stephen Bunting for what he brings to the sport and his great run at the Worlds and his victory in the Masters. But that was a long time ago now.
It was.
And he hasn't really gone deep, a bit like Damon Heta actually.
Yes,
he's winning games at majors usually, but he's not really at the business end as of yet.
Yeah, you're right. We actually did highlight that a few episodes ago where he's saying for Heta, he's been winning the early matches, but he hasn't gone deep enough to be making the semi-finals and finals.
Yeah.
So
hasn't
been amazing on TV, just to say that at least.
Yes, but at the moment for Bunting, it's just about those quarterfinal victories each night. That's what really gets you going. Yes, it's nice to win a night or make a final of a night, but in this format, just win games on the regular-ish. He's got time to turn it around. The other thing I'm interested in is if he does continue to struggle in the Premier League, how does that affect the floor form and the European Tour in particular, where he has been a little bit better. If it begins to falter in those areas, I will be deeply concerned, and I will be calling for a red alarm emergency all around the world. Stephen Bunting not playing well. We need to change something drastically. The world is falling apart. But at least for now, not the greatest starts, obviously. But next few nights are the big ones. European tours start up very soon. It'll be a high seed for that. We know that he can actually jump into the top 4 if he has a good run at the UK Open.
Okay.
So there's still some limelight for Stephen, even though he hasn't got a win as of yet.
Always, absolutely. So we'll analyse how he goes. As you said, his next games are really important. He sort of plays the bottom 4 of the top 8, as we sort of said earlier. So big games, but I mean
for nights 5, 6, and 7, the bottom 3, he's going to play Luke Littler first.
Correct. Yeah, after that, but every game is a tough game.
Every game is a tough game in the Premier League. We know
the
that.
bottom 3, but we've had plenty of upsets.
Yes,
so.
and those bottom 3 haven't played too badly. Dobie showed some good stuff.
Yep.
Price just won a night, and Aspinall just got to the final of the night. So it doesn't get easier in the league, but hopefully Stephen can turn around, at least for my sake.
Correct.
If you had to Actually, you know what? I was going to ask you when will he pick up his first win, if he'll pick up his first win. But just hold that thought. When we do predictions for Exeter, I'll ask you then. Because if it's not this coming night, will it be later night? So we'll just hold that thought. When will Bunting pick up... If and when will Bunting pick up his first win? Let's hope it's if. When, rather.
Correct.
Alrighty.
You've got a future star.
I've got another
this week.
future star for this week, Jake Hobbs. So this was on the JDC Foundation Tour. I know there was a couple of dev tour stuff that I could have gone to, but I didn't do that because I'm a big fan of the JDC.
Yes.
After making quarterfinal in event 1, Jake Hobbs went on and won the second event. He had a poorer second day, but he was one that really stood out for me in that JDC particular scene. We've mentioned them millions times now on this podcast before. They're trying to create a system as close to the PDC standard as possible throughout all their operations. So in the... I'm just trying to bring this up here. That's the tour first event. I might look at the second event here when he went on to win with a 73 average. Other matches, 89 average, which was a very good performance in the semi-final. That was in a race to 4. Other matches were race to 3, so 9 on 80 average in the quarterfinals. That was on event 2. And after making the quarterfinals on Foundation Tour event 1, very impressive day. Like I said, had a bit of a poorer day 2, which is what you could sort of expect from these players. We see it in the Pro Tour all the time. You go on a win a night, win a day, win an event, and then you come back the next day and you lose in the first round.
Correct.
We see it in a lot of sports, particularly individual sports.
Not uncommon.
We have a great first day, and then the second day or the following day you taper off a little bit. But I thought Jake Hobbs was the one that really stood out. I think they had about 4 different winners of those Foundation Tours, but he was the one that was definitely the most consistent over a day. I didn't back up as much on the second day, but well done to Jake Hobbs. A future star for this week. And is doing well. We'll jump into the latest news segment.
Yes.
Latest news and the week ahead is the sort of juicy segment of this week. We sort of back-ended this show a little bit more than usual. We'll start, though, with our weekly Beau Greaves segment, which is basically our weekly thing. She leads in 3 different order of merits. This shows you, I think, more than anything else, the benefit of having not having a tour card, I should say, and being able to play in literally everything. Leads the Challenge Tour, leads the Development Tour, and leads the Women's Series at the moment. After 5 Challenge Tours, 5 Development Tours, and 4 Women's Series events. She picked up another, I think it was Development Tour event 4, I think it was.
Yep.
Where she went on to win. That was the event Charlie Manby hit 130 average in one particular match. She's got more decisions to make. We know Lakeside, Ali Pally can't play both. Got to go to one. Tomlin order, which they've actually decided to enforce for a change. So she's currently in a position where it feels unlikely that she won't pick up a card now at this rate, because she's going to get the way she's playing, she's going to get more opportunities to be a call up for the Pro Tour. Off the back of that Challenge Tour being the number 1. It is quite remarkable at the moment that you can play this well against this different level of opposition. And just looking at these players, Belmont, Labanauskas, there's King and Big John Henderson, Bates. There's Manby there as number 5 on the Dev Tour at the moment. And on the Women's Series, we're familiar with Ashton, Sherrick, Gemma Hayter, Paige Pauling. It is extraordinary stuff at the moment from Beau Greaves and what she is producing. And at the UK Open, she's one of mine to watch.
Absolutely. Well, especially in the Development Tour, all these guys have played at the MODUS at some time, especially with some of the stalwarts of the game. Mervyn King's played there before, John Henderson has. So these are very good players, in that sort of Q school sort of standard. But no, it's amazing. It really is. She's done it across 3 tours, the Development Tour, Challenge Tour, and now the Women's Series, where she's been dominating in that one for sure.
For a long time,
we'll keep watching her, but no, she's doing an outstanding job.
And this weekend at the UK Open, if she can go on a deep run, if she gets a couple of lucky draws, and the way she is playing. So she's in an interesting position because, like I said, could pick up a card. Choices to make at the back end of the year. Like I mentioned in last week's show, they're still sorting out the will of the late owner of Lakeside, so there's no guarantee that the WDF will be able to use that venue, and which is basically the last thing holding that particular World Championship is the fact that it's being held at the same venue it's always been held at, the iconic Lakeside stage. But if she can continue to perform well on the Pro Tour and she gets sort of close to that top 64, she might go to Ali Pally. But unless that happens, I think she will probably, if I had to guess, go to Lakeside, try and win a fourth consecutive Women's World Championship.
Yep.
She's the reigning 3-time back-to-back champ in the Women's WDF World Championship. And get that fourth and then look to go to the PDC. She's got plenty of time on her hands.
She does.
Unquestionably, which is one benefit. And she's beginning to show quality in several different tours against plenty of opposition, against plenty of men as well. And the UK Open's a big week for her. So Beau Greaves,
spot on.
top of 3 Order of Merits, which is ridiculous. Yep. And it feels unlikely that she won't be up high in all 3 of these, if not leading all 3 of these, later on in the year as we progress. We will look now to go to the MODUS Super Series.
Yes.
I've been enjoying week 6, but we'll start as we always do with the previous week 5, Josh.
Yes. Reece Robinson is your week 5 winner. So again, he will be a contender for Champions Week, which will be held at the end of week 12. So yes, he won 4-3 against Kurt Parry in the first round of the finals night, and then had another encounter with him and beat him 4-1. In that game, he had an 81 average, but it was his doubles that really decided him between. He was 80% on the doubles, which was pretty good. He got 4 out of 5, so he only missed 1 dart at the doubles. And in contrast, Parry, I think, was 1 from 8 or something. Ooh. So that sort of separated the two, especially in a short format. You got to hit the doubles. It's pretty simple. Scoring for show, doubles for dough, as Bobby George would say. Yes, indeed, exactly. So good win for him. He's been around the stage a little bit. He'll be looking to get his tour card back, absolutely for sure. That's a good win for him. We've seen him a bit on MODUS and on different forms of challenge tours and stuff. But if we move on to week 6, you've got someone to talk about.
Yes, I want to talk about the man right in the bottom there. We'll get to Landon Gates in a second. But very exciting. Peter Wachiuri is here. So you missed this, late last year at the African World Dutch Championship qualifier, Peter Wachiuri did not pick up the title that would have got him to Ali Pali, but he was the hero. It was live streamed on YouTube and most of Dart's Twitter at the very least. We were focused more on the African qualifier than on, I think there was a European Tour event going on at the same time. Everyone was focused on the African qualifier. He missed double 17 for a 154 out in the last leg. That would have got him in by the width of a wire. But this is MODUS Super Series, basically pick who they want. It's basically up to them. But this is the closest you get to a fan vote. Because everybody wanted to see him, and he's done not too bad. He's won, I think, 3 matches.
Not bad at all.
He won a game this morning going double 12 for a 48 checkout, which was amazing stuff. The Kenyan is playing at Portsmouth for the first time. I believe Kenya's the 39th different country, I believe I saw, to be represented at MODUS. This is quite the international week. What with Leonard Gates, the soldier, American, and Nolan van Leuven, who's from the Netherlands, also being part of this particular event. This is how things stand in Group A at the moment in week 6. So there's Peter Wachiuri, 3 wins, 7 losses. So I think his victories. Who's he beaten? Donny's beaten. Barry, and has he beaten Colin? I can't remember. I can't remember them all. But through the first couple of days, he's picked up some wins. He's looked all right. It's just been a bit all over the place. He can hit 180s and 140s, but he can also throw in a
26.
26. Yeah, those sort of legs and those sort of visits to the board. But Colin Osborne, with just the one loss, is dominating Group A so far, isn't he, Josh?
Yes, indeed, he is. No, he's been on here a few times and he's been very good. He's made Champions Week. I'm not sure if he's actually won one before.
I don't think so.
I know he versed Littler back when he played at MODUS one time. I think he had like that 123 average game to win it. I think he was against that one, which was just, again, outstanding. So he's one to watch for sure. Good to see Gates back as well.
Yes, we love Leonard Gates, even though the man can't count it. But he's such a character.
Oh, he is.
We saw he played reasonably well at the World Seniors. Got to a quarterfinal, I think it was. So he's very much. He stayed in England and gone down to Portsmouth for week 6.
Correct. Yep. So good to see him again. He played at the Worlds. I'm not sure who he played.
He beat Cameron Menzies, and then he lost to Aspinall. Because we were here, remember? We were doing a live podcast, and I was keeping you up to date on Gates Aspinall. That was also the morning Ricky Evans beat Gordon Mathers as well in the previous match. We were watching that before we went live.
I think Ricky won 3-2 in that encounter, didn't he?
Yeah, 3-1 or 3-2. I can't remember.
3-1, 3-2. Yeah, so that was our Aussie Gordon Mathers, who unfortunately did not get his tour card in the end. So
no, he didn't. No.
I think did he feature at Modus a couple weeks ago?
I think he did. A few Aussies. It's a bit hard to remember now, but there have been a few Aussies.
I know that Brandon Weaning was there a couple weeks ago.
And Jeremy
Simon,
Fagg.
obviously. Jeremy Fagg.
I think
so
those were the three. We
yep.
didn't see. I don't think we've seen GG, but
hopefully see him soon.
Hopefully we'll see him soon enough. But yeah, week 6 is looking good. I've been enjoying this week of MODUS.
Yes.
Keep an eye on Peter and all he's been doing. It's good to see that they've got some more international representation at the MODUS.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so a Kenyan making his debut at Portsmouth, eh?
I'm pretty sure they had someone a few weeks ago who was from... it was another country that was like...
A bit obscure.
New to it, yeah. I'm trying to think. Anyway, okay. I'll have to get into that a bit later.
We'll remember that about 3 minutes after we finish.
Yes.
Which is usually how it goes. But yeah, looking good. Colin Osborne at the moment. Noah Limban Leuven also playing some good stuff.
Yes.
But all the eyes are on Peter Wachiuri and his brilliant story. Captivated the darts world when he didn't quite make the World Darts Championship, but he is playing reasonable stuff at the MODUS.
See how he partakes throughout the rest of the
Yes, we
the
will.
Week.
Got one more day to go before it's decided whether Group B or Group C is where he will go. Alrighty, that is the recap of
summary.
the weekly winners.
Yep.
Small, Walker, Spivey, McGurk and Robinson. Alright, let's move on to our week ahead. That means we've got not much of the show left to go, but we've still got plenty to talk about. Night 4 of the Premier League is in Exeter. This is the one night where if you want to lose in the quarterfinals, it's probably beneficial because you want to get down to Minehead pretty quickly.
Correct. Exactly.
Shall we go through the bracket as we usually do? Michael Van Gerwen, he is one that could very easily like a trip down to Minehead. Quickly, he is playing Rob Cross in the opening match of the night. Thoughts?
This should be a pretty close one, in my opinion. Cross has been playing some good stuff. MVG has been playing some good stuff. I reckon MVG in that one. We'll go 6-4. We'll go that one.
Yeah, I'll go... I wouldn't be completely shocked if Cross won this match, but I think I'll go MVG. I'll go 6-3 if you're going 6-4. Second match, Price Humphreys. Will this be revenge or repeat for the semi-final in Dublin last week, Josh?
It's so hard to pick.
Yeah,
it really is. He won literally just before. Now, Humphreys played some quality darts. He had the 102 average in that first encounter before losing. So, I will go... Price. I'll go Price. Let's see if he can get back to back. We'll see how we go.
Yeah, I was going to go on the Online Darts Live Lounge. They all went Humphreys, but I'll go Price as well. 6-5. But I like the Iceman to repeat. Dobie Aspinall. This is probably the hardest one for me, to be honest. Even more harder than Price Humphreys. Cause
I feel like this night all of them are hard actually.
Yeah,
I think
this
one's
even
really well put
more
together.
Yeah.
I'll go Dobie. He's played some good stuff, but again, I could go either way for me.
I'll go the other way. I'll go Aspinall 6-4, but again, no surprises. And lastly, trying to get his first win is Stephen the Bullet Bunting. He plays Luke Littler. Does he win this week, Josh?
Well, that was your question to me, and my answer. I'm sorry, but I don't think he wins this week.
Okay.
I think Littler's just been playing too good. Yes, he lost in that first game last week, but again, he's just playing some quality stuff. Bunting's been a bit up and down, but I think one of the next few weeks he'll get his victory. But we'll see how he goes. But please prove me wrong, Stephen.
All right, we hope so. And look, I don't think we're too far away. I am expecting Stephen Bunting to pick up his first victory in this year's Premier League next week. Let's 6-4.
Okay.
Give me a nightly winner out of your 4 semi-finalists. Don't pick someone that you predicted to lose the quarterfinal game. No,
and I've broken it down now. Don't worry.
Give me a winner and a runner-up.
Okay. Well, I've done. So I've actually put it into what it would be. So it's going to be MVGB Price and then Dobie versus Littler. How it will go from there, I will say Price goes to the final.
Yep.
And then on the bottom end of the bracket, I will say it will be Littler, and then it'll be a Price v Littler final, and I'm going back-to-back for Price.
Okay.
Price v Littler. Price wins 6-4.
Okay. I'm going to go the same matchup but a different result. I think Littler stops the rot against Price, and after bombing out earlier last week, he does what he did in night 2, and he comes back and wins the night. But it will be close. I'll go to Littler 6-5 in the last leg decider. Price misses a match start. I'll add that in there as well. So that all that comes together, I will be editing that and putting it on the socials. So Littler 6-5 over Price in the final. Price misses a match start.
On which which
it would be tops. It would be tops
yeah.
because that's the way he goes. It'll be
does.
tops or tens.
Tops or tens, yeah.
If it missed at least one match start.
Done.
Now I'm gonna say if it's not that, it'll be the bull, won't it? Alrighty. So that's where we're at for the Premier League night 4.
Yes.
Like I said, I will make sure next week I have the little Excel spreadsheet I've been working on.
All good.
With the individual matchups, so we can keep an eye on who's been playing each other.
That'll be
more
very
often.
interesting to actually see who's been playing well against certain opponents, who's been giving that sort of extra edge. That'll be interesting.
And
so
we can
keep
look
an eye
at
on
the
that.
individual matchup. So like I said, I've been wanting to do it for the last few weeks and I haven't done it. Now we move to, as I said at the start, this is pretty much my favourite tournament.
Yes.
The Ladbrokes UK Open at Minehead. It is the FA Cup of Darts. It's got that nickname because from the 4th round onwards, it's an open draw. There's no seedings. The number 1 and number 2 can play each other in the round of 64. So because of that, I'm not going to ask you to give me a winner or a runner-up or semi-finalist because we don't have a bracket to look through.
No.
But who are you excited to see this week? So if you can get the matches in front of you, we have first rounds 1 to 3 where there are specific matches. Other than round 1, obviously, we don't know who specifically is playing who all the way.
Yes.
Even though, to be fair, in some of the second and third round matches we do, which is my only really critique of this tournament. If you're automatically put through to the second round, you should have to play guaranteed a first round winner, and not, for example, let me use an example. I might use a third round example. Jermaine Watermainer plays Florian Hempel. That match has already been locked in. Or Scott Williams against Wessel Nyman. That looks like a good match in round 3. But there are quite a few good matches here in this first round. I might pull this closer to me so I can see better. Henderson Usher off the back of the World Seniors is a good-looking match. Wesley Plaisir, Cam Cabtree could be very enticing. Cordecker, Nick Springer, but if anything could happen in that match. But it's hard to go past Beau Greaves and Stefan Belmont as the two sort of challenge tour stalwarts at the moment. Both playing amazing, and so that I believe that will be on the main stage.
Yes.
So
hope so.
The main stage will be what we get on the television product. If you want anything else, you need to buy pdc.tv. Any other? There is always the potential for some very interesting matches further down.
Absolutely.
In the later rounds.
Callan Rids v Alan Suter could be a good one to watch.
Yes.
I've been liking what Rids has been giving to us at the moment. What else we got here? Will Damo be appearing in this one?
Damo and Heta will be there. All the top 32, so they will join us in the 4th round as always.
I was looking through. I'm like,
where are there all these gaps? Yep. So they are. So the top 32 automatically receive buys into the 4th round.
There you go. I just saw his name. I'm like, where is he playing? I'm like,
is he here somewhere? Yeah, he's not.
Is there a mistake somewhere?
No, they've got them all there. The Wikipedia darts people make sure everything is there.
Yes.
No one's pulled out as of yet. There was a few who pulled out last year.
Yep.
I think that we were down to 158, but we've got the full lot of 160.
That's gonna be good to see. Lots of talent on display, especially from the lower end of the.
Yes.
They've
changed the amateur qualifiers, which a lot of people aren't happy about because mostly a lot of these guys they're mostly Super Series guys and Q School guys, so they're not really amateurs in the proper sense. But it's always a good tournament. Any players, particularly in that top 32 or even top 64, you're interested in how they go?
Looking forward to see Jimmy Van Ski, the big 6'6" giraffe.
Yes.
Seen him on the MODUS a few times. He actually, I don't know how he doesn't break his back when he's like that when he throws. It's unbelievable. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. Christian Kist as well. He's been doing some good stuff. Beau Greaves, of course.
Yeah, it's kind
of
hard to go past Beau.
Against Belmont, as you talked about earlier. What else we got? There's so many different matchups, but nothing's been confirmed at the higher end of the rankings.
There will be a round of draw after the end of each round.
Yes.
John McDonald will be on the stage with presumably a couple of former legends who will do the draw.
For sure.
I am interested to see how Andrew Gilding in particular goes because he is defending the prize money.
Yes, he is.
He won the 2023 edition in a bit of a surprise, beat Michael Van Gogh in that particular final. Dimitri Vandenberg's another one as the defending champion.
Yes.
Stephen Bunting going away from the Premier League. We'll see if his form can be picked up off the back of going to Butlin's Minehead. Lower down, there are particularly a lot of those players we sort of mentioned when we did that talk a few weeks ago about who needs a good year, who do we expect to have a good year.
We did
So
mention
guys
that.
like Barney, guys like Ricky Evans, Jose de Souza, are names I am very interested in. Connor Scutt as well.
Yes.
Is there in that will receive a bye into the third round.
Mm.
So it's always interesting. It's impossible to know what will happen at the UK Open as always, because it's that open draw. We could very well see Littler and Humphreys play each other in the fourth round. The one last thing I did want to mention on this, is there a chance that Michael Van Gogh doesn't play on the main stage in that fourth round?
Oh, potentially. I'm not sure.
The two Lukes will definitely play each other.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
Dimitri Van den Berg as defending champ probably gets picked to the first stage, gets picked to the main stage. I know that hasn't happened in the past.
Yep.
Danny Noppert a few years ago wasn't, but that's what they tend to do. And if there's like Bunting Price is the other one, if they're like, we need to have Humphreys, Littler, and Van den Berg, and like there's Bunting Price or a match like that gets picked out of that random draw, MVG might be forced to play on stage too, and you know a lot of the players that hurts their ego a little bit when they're told to no, you're not on the main stage. Off you go to the outside boards.
Yes, yeah, true. No, I'm interested to watch, but I'll be very interested to see those first 3 rounds, and then obviously who makes the fourth round. What will those matchups be? Unfortunately, Damo is our only Aussie taking part in this, I believe. So none of the other non-tour card holders who, the Gordon Mathers, the Brandon Weanings, they unfortunately not there. Whitlocks, of course. So unfortunately they won't be
at this tournament. So we've just got the one Australian to keep an eye on. This is the sort of tournament where players like Damon Heta, who might struggle a little bit in some of those more structured bracket type tournaments, can go on a bit of runs. True. I am expecting someone perhaps a little bit more wild cardish potentially winning this tournament.
Anyone in particular?
Again, it's impossible to tell, but someone like so who we have won in recent years. Van den Berg was probably less of a surprise than previous years. We've had Gilding win it recently, Noppert, James Wade. Go back to 2023, right? So players are defending prize money from that particular tournament. If I am correct, I believe I'm right. Yes. Last year, 2 years ago, a quarterfinalist at this tournament was Richie Burnett.
Oh, wow.
Adam Gavlas also made a semi-final 2 years ago. So those guys, the money is just leaving the system because those guys don't even have tour cards at the moment.
Yeah, for sure.
So Adam Gavlas beat Rob Cross, if you can believe it, in a quarterfinal. But that is so that sort of shows you when you look at this is the sort of event where players can particularly make runs at this tournament if they have some favourable draws all the way through. Sometimes because the way it works with those open draws, you could just keep bumping into top 10 players in the world every time.
Good, exactly.
Or you could get the worst of that pot every time and make it all the way to a quarterfinal or semi-final or winning it all.
Exactly.
As Gilding did. And a couple of years ago, and is defending that money. So I'm very interested to see, given he is a danger of falling outside the top 32 if he doesn't have a particularly good run here.
I'm just looking at the prize money here. So there's a
it's
big
not
pool of 600,000, but there's not a whole lot exactly. But one thing I wanted to highlight was the last 160. There's no prize money.
I was going to mention this. I did forget to write it down. Yes, once again, no money for just showing up.
Rocking up.
Come on now.
Yep. Well, we both highlighted that it should be $500, just half of what the second round is. Yeah, £500. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It makes sense. Just for, again, because they're not deemed professional, because they got to go to their previous occupations. So it's like a bit of money to help get some sort of income going as well on the side would be good. So
and particularly because who's going to lose in that last 160? It's players 96 to 128. Yep. And it's the other players, the 8 development tour players, the 8 challenge tour players, and the 16 amateurs. Yeah, they're not Stephen Bunting or Barney or obviously the Lukes who are very much sustained by the sport. So we've talked about that over the last few weeks. I did want to mention that no money for showing up and losing first round, which again is something that needs to change and should be changing now that Sky Sports deal has been signed. It's like $25 million a year. Alrighty, very much looking forward to the UK Open. Absolutely. As always. It's an exciting tournament. No players seeded. Random draw will be held from the conclusion of the third round all the way to the conclusions of the quarterfinals. Yep. So just about anything can happen at this tournament, and it usually does. We've seen plenty of guys surprise big names, or they've been drawn together. Big names drawn together. 2006 UK Open, Barney and Taylor being probably the most obvious example.
Yes.
So FA Cup of Darts, aptly named. aptly nicknamed. And there are many great matches in there that we probably won't see, but if we get just a handful of them, we will be very excited.
I'll be interested to see if there's a dark horse that comes to a semi-final or even a final. We'll find out. But look, that's the beauty of it. There's no seeded, so it's just like you just play whoever plays when you do the
draw.
The draw, exactly.
You basically go, all right, sure, I'm playing Van Gogh, and I'm playing Luke Littler. That's just what it is. You don't have much of a say. You don't have much of a say when it's a predetermined bracket anyway. But this one's a little bit different, as you're waiting around 20 minutes from now. You're okay, we've just done the draw. Now I'm up against the number one in 30 minutes.
Exactly. I'll say, unlike the Premier League, you've got no time to prepare. Obviously, these guys know well in advance who they're playing, so they can sort of think, okay.
I can tell you right now, in week 13, I've just picked a number out of in Birmingham. Luke Littler and Stephen Bunting play each other. There you go.
There you go. I was going to say, you have time to prepare. And
of course, I had to pick the world champ against my man from when picking a number out of my head.
Well, having time to prepare, you can sort of get that. Try and get a sort of mental edge over to say, okay, I know they play at a fast pace.
Yeah.
I played a more slower pace. I feel like if I do that, they'll get off their game, sort of thing. I don't know. I'm sure players have little tweaks. They go, okay, I'll play slightly differently for certain opponents. But again, how do we know?
It's
from the cheap seats here.
Yes, it's a fantastic event. Always love the UK Open when it comes around, and we will come back and dissect it all. And because of those 160 plays of the random draws, will be plenty to dissect individual stories.
Absolutely.
And it wouldn't surprise me if someone like Beau Greaves or someone lower down makes a deep run at this particular tournament.
It's definitely one of my favourite tournaments in the calendar year. Absolutely.
It's just about my favourite.
Yes, exactly. So we'll be watching that eagerly.
We will. So this weekend on KO, as per usual in Australia and across all the international partners of the PDC worldwide. It's an ITV event in the UK. Rightio, the Darts Archive. This is where we begin to slowly but surely wrap things up. John Henderson and Robert Thornton last week. Big Hendo getting a victory over the Thorn in a classic match at the World Seniors Masters last year. So if you haven't watched that, go check it out. But this week we had a match that I had pinned for this segment for a long time, Joshy boy. Damon Heta, Luke Littler, last year's UK Open quarterfinal. I remember when these two got picked and thinking, oh, wow, this might be a challenge for Damon Heta. Well, he rose to the occasion, as did Luke Littler, to be fair. It was absolutely brilliant. There was times where they were averaging over 120 in those first handful of legs. It doesn't stay that quality quite all the way through, but there are some the scoring in this match was ridiculous.
Phenomenal.
And I think you and I agree it was definitely the best match of 2024.
Yes.
And it's a deserving one for the Darts Archive. If you want to get interested in darts, check out this full match of Damon Heta and Luke Littler, available on the PDC YouTube channel. Perhaps the best match we've ever seen at the UK Open, hence why it's in here. It's close. It goes all the way through. It's just about hitting those doubles, doing things at the right time. But it was a stunning match.
It's definitely one of my favourite matches, actually, in the whole world of darts, to be honest. I don't know about you where it ranks.
It ranks highly.
Ranks very highly
I remember seeing this. I was first day proper of Holmes Glen.
Yes.
Week 1. And had a class in the morning from 9 to 12 and went straight back home to recap all that happened at the UK Open, starting with this was, I believe, the first match of the day. And it was a great way to start that particular day of action at Butland's Minehead, that particular quarterfinal.
Fantastic.
So check it out. Damon Heta against Luke Littler, 2024 UK Open. The full match is on the PDC YouTube channel. That's what it looks like.
Correct.
All right, Josh, we're wrapping this up in a good time for a change. Usually we waffle on, but we've kept it nice and short. We've covered all areas. I think we wanted to. It's going to be probably a bigger show next week because we're going to have a Premier League and a whole UK Open.
Yes. There's so much to talk about the UK Open. There's so many games to talk about. Well, we won't talk about all of them.
Yeah,
but just obviously just the main ones and some outsiders who have done well. We'll find out. But so much to talk about in Planet Darts.
We'll discuss Premier League, more MODUS. Hopefully, Peter Wachiuri continues to have a promising week there at Portsmouth. Review the UK Open. One thing I will check before we wrap up the show is when is the European Tour event? First European Tour event coming up. I did want to check. Is that potentially next week? I think it is.
I don't know.
Yes, so it is. So this next week we will be covering the previewing the Belgian Darts Open.
Okay.
We probably won't have a bracket by the time we do this show.
Probably not.
So we won't do full predictions of that. But in Visa, Belgium, Luke Littler is the defending champion. He won that event with the 9 data in the final.
Oh, yes. Wow.
In another classic match that may or may not be mentioned. Maybe we should do that next week, or we'll find a Premier League match from
Stay
Brighton.
tuned.
Plenty more women's series and other things to keep an eye on. We'll have another future star, hopefully. Plenty of MODUS. Lots of UK Open. There's plenty going on, Josh.
Thanks to Bodie at the back for
for
producing today.
Yes,
much
thank you very much. Hopefully we haven't bored you too much. And alrighty, so episode 80 is done and dusted. Thank you, Josh, again. Thank you for listening. Before I can finish the show, the last couple of weeks we've sort of we haven't finished this is it. We're done. Silence. Done. All done. This has been the 9 Dart Podcast.